There's a lot of people here that don't like America. We've had major issues with Serbia, and people still love me and show me nothing but love.
Meet Charles Cather. He is an American who moved to Serbia almost 15 years ago. He started a popular YouTube channel about his life in Serbia and in 2020 got honorary citizenship. He now works at a work and travel agency and a couple of investment companies. He shared why he feels more accepted and loved in Serbia than in America, how to deal with famous Serbian directness as a foreigner, and how he was once beaten for being an American in Serbia. Enjoy. You've got honorary citizenship. What did you feel when you got it?
It was one of the proudest, not to sound cheesy, but one of the proudest moments of my entire life. You know, when you fall in love with a country and the government offers you citizenship on an honorary basis, I mean, can you get any better than that? There's not another country out there that I would prefer to have citizenship with. France, I don't really care to have French citizenship, but here, when the government of Serbia reaches out to you and say, we appreciate everything you've done for this country over the past. I was one of the first vloggers here in Serbia. I started in 2010. That's when there was very few people doing it. Now every day you turn on YouTube, there's somebody, other foreigner here making videos about Serbia. A lot of people, when I started in 2010, they're like, oh, you're gonna do this for a month and then you're gone somewhere else. But I'm still here. So it was the biggest thing. Nobody else in my family has dual citizenship except me. So when I told my mother, she worked for the US government, and I told my mother, I didn't tell her prior, but the minute I got my passport, I sent her a picture. I said, hey, mother, I have Serbian citizenship, full Serbian citizenship. And she said, don't tell me you gave up your American citizenship for Serbian. And I said, no, mama, we can have dual citizenship as an American.
What was the story behind this? How it happens?
One day I was on LinkedIn. I received a message. I'm not going to name who it was from, but a very high-ranking Serbian official. And they reached out. I thought it was a joke. They said, hey, we here at the Serbian government appreciate everything you've done for our country. We know you want citizenship. We know you're leaving June 6th for the USA, so we want to make this happen quickly. The lawyer will be calling you. So the lawyer from the president's office called me. And he said, you need to bring your birth certificate, this. I provided all the information, and within like 7 days, they processed it, sent it to the Skupština. Ana Brnabić, the former prime minister, signed off on it. So then I became a full-fledged Serbian. He called me like on June 4th. I was leaving on the 6th. He said, congratulations, Charles, you are officially a Serbian citizen. Honored, you know. I still get goosebumps when I think of it, you know. It's such an achievement. No application. I didn't fill out anything. It was just pushed through, sent to the Skupština. They have to vote, I guess, on honorary Serbian citizenship. It was approved. They signed it, done. I went to the main police station in Belgrade, picked up my passport, my lična karta, and ja sam Srbin.
If you wouldn't get honorary citizenship, would you apply for ordinary citizenship and renouncing your American passport?
Never, no. I would never denounce my American citizenship. I think American citizenship is a very strong citizenship. I can travel to, what is it? I mean, our passport, when you compare it to other passports out there, I think the best passport in the world now is what, Singapore maybe. They can travel to, what, 190 countries, whatever. America's like 176 visa free. And it makes life easier when you're an American. You travel to a country, they don't ask you a lot of questions. They look at your passport, oh, American, here, welcome. Other nationalities, when they go, I was meeting with a Syrian yesterday, really good friend of mine, and he said, I was telling him my stories, and he's like, oh, I'm so jealous. He said, everywhere I go with my Syrian passport, I'm denied for my visa. If I'm approved, I have to go in the back room. They say, who have you been talking to? Ask him so many different questions. So I would never give up my American citizenship. I never would have applied for Serbian citizenship. I wanted to, since I've been here. At that time, before I received it, I was here 10 years. But I was always leaving and coming back. So I was in the USA for 3 months, here for 3 months, back, here, there, everywhere. And I don't speak the language. That's my biggest regret at this moment, is not learning Serbian language. After 14 years, going on 15 years, I still speak Serbian at a basic level. Insanity. It's so disrespectful to my fellow Serbians that I don't speak their language. But why? Intelligence here in this country. I can go anywhere, just like here. I went and ordered a coffee. I said it in Serbian, but she said, just say it in English. What do you want? You know, so when I try, people say, hey, just say it in English. They can tell I'm a foreigner, and they all speak English.
Yeah.
And everybody I deal with the summer work and travel program that sends Balkan university students to the USA on a four-month work program. I grill them in English. I do interview tactics with these students, how to get through the US Embassy visa, how to impress an American employer, and everything is in English. They have to speak English. I work for 2 finance companies. Everything's in English. We target the American market. So I'm always speaking English. I'll go out with Serbian friends. They don't get a chance a lot to speak to a native American, a native speaking American, and they'll say, hey, let's talk English. And I say, good, because I don't want to speak Serbian.
You should go to Serbian village.
Yeah, I should. I definitely should. You're right. Be surrounded with no options. I lived in Mexico for a year and a half. I went to university. I took 2 years of Spanish. I did well, but we never spoke. It was all written. Horrible curriculum. I moved to Mexico, flew in. First thing I say is, habla inglés. No. And then it's like, uh-oh, what now? So I was able to speak Spanish because I had no choice. Here, people are intelligent. They're learning English in kindergarten. So a lot of these young kids speak just like I do, you know?
What are the most difficult aspects of Serbian language for you?
For me, I understand a lot because I'm surrounded by it a lot. I can read Chirilica. I think as a tip for anybody moving here and wanting to learn the language, I think you should really start with Chirilica, because when I read A, E, I, O, U, the vowels in English language, if I read them in Chirilica, I know how to pronounce it correctly. But when I look at Latinica, I instantly go back to America. Like in USA, it's A, E, I, O, U. Here it's A, E, O, U, you know. So the I in English is I. Here it's E, you know. So when I look at Latinica, I revert back to American alphabet. And the podagy, the grammatical parts of it, blow my mind. In English, this would be a green. This is green. It's always green. It has no gender to it. Here you have to know, is that zeleno, zelene, zelena? To me, that's mind-blowing. Like stol, a table is stol. I don't know, is it stol, a male, female, or neutral? I don't know. My name, Charles. My name in the USA is always Charles. Hey, Charles, come here. Give it to Charles. Here, Charles-se, Charles-su, Charles-sam, Charles-sa. So complex. You have to think so much to put it into a sentence somebody can understand. And it's beyond my American brain.
What about sounds? That's it difficult for you to pronounce?
Some of them are. For me, the most difficult sounds are probably the lya. Lya, I'm very bad about. Like Ljubica.
Oh, you do it great.
Did I? Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about it hard. But in regular conversation, if I see lya, it's like Liliana. To me, it's kind of tongue-tying. When I think on it, it's like in million, $1 million, million. That's the way you pronounce it. But when I look at it, it's tough. The r is difficult. I'm from the Midwest. Midwestern USA is known for a hard R, like car, bar, Charles. We have the hard R. Here it's r. So that can be kind of even when I think I'm speaking Serbian well, a lot of people can instantly detect that I'm not a native Serbian speaker. Maybe it's a pride factor. When I go up somewhere and I'll say, molim vas, dajte mi jedna pljeskavica. You have to say jednu pljeskavicu. I know that, but you say it and people will instantly start smiling, and then I feel like a child, you know? Because I know I said it horribly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just got that little embarrassment factor, that keeps me from it. There's a block. And the other issue, and I don't want to make excuses, I've never taken a Serbian language course, and I've been here for 14, going on 15 years. Never. Why? I have time. I'm just fearful of not being able to do it correctly.
I don't know. I haven't been in niche. But they say that in niche they close their eyes on padiji. They speak without padiji.
Yeah, Niš, Leskovac, Vranje, Pirot, a lot of those towns down in the south, yeah. They speak very fast though. That's another great thing. What I liked about Novi Sad, people here speak what they call the lala. It's slow. They speak a little slower, so it's easy to understand. You go down south, it's fast. Everybody speaks fast. They don't use a lot of the grammatical things, so it's more difficult to understand also.
And Serbian language is I think it's very powerful. It has this power of not sophisticated language as Russian. You know, we have so many words in Russian, they have different meanings. Serbian word, you have one word, but it has a lot of meaning. It's very deep language. I like it so much, and it's very beautiful language.
My favorite is bre, how they do bre. And a lot of Americans, when I try to explain bre, I was like, well, you can't really explain it. It just means something is, you know, more enunciated, like kako bre instead of kako. How? You say kako bre.
What does it mean? What does it mean, bre?
Bre, it's just an enunciated. It's like you're showing, come on, you idiot. What? You know, jeri govna bre. You know, that's like more forceful, you know. It gives that oomph to that word, and I love it. I think it's so cool that they can do that, you know.
Almost 15 years ago, you came to Serbia and started your YouTube channel and became, I would say, the most famous expat in Serbia.
At that time, yes. I've been here for years, so many people know me, and I'm honored for that. I went to Pirot, which is way down in southeastern Serbia. I just got off the bus. I took a bus there, you know, because I still don't drive in Serbia after 14 years. I'm terrified. I can drive in Chicago, Baltimore, New York. I don't care. Here in Serbia, I'm still nervous about driving in this country. I don't know why. But anyway, I just get off the bus in Pirot, walk through town. Two kids come up, hey, Charles, I see you. Can I get a sleek picture with you? Yeah, sure. Police chief down there, he heard I was in town. He met me. He said, I want to have a coffee with you. He wanted me to come to some charity event and make a video for them. The schools asked me to come and speak to the kids in English language, you know. So, yes, I mean, I do. I feel that way. I know a lot of very important folks here, and people appreciate that I've stuck this out.
What is the most amazing story related to this kind of recognition?
Milorad Čavić, who's a famous gold medal winning Serbian swimmer, he recognized me. I was in some little hookah. I like to smoke hookah or shisha or nargila, whatever you want to call it. I was in a little bar. Big, huge guy comes in. He's like, hey, Charles, I know you. And I said, man, I know you. You're Milorad Čavić. What an absolute honor it is, you know? So I got to meet him. The građolniks from numerous cities messaged me to tour the Skupština and to meet them. It's really nice. And that's another reason why I'm still here. I feel more accepted and loved, a more sense of community here than I do back home in my home community. More people know me here probably now than they do back where I'm from. And that's an amazing feat, you know, to go 8,000 kilometers from your hometown, or 8,000 miles, whatever it is, from your hometown, and to be on TV, to be on podcasts, to people to know you on the street, ask for a picture. So it's an absolute honor, you know, to be accepted here as an American. There's a lot of people here that don't like America. We've had major issues with Serbia, war with Serbia, fresh war, you know, and people still love me and show me nothing but love. I rarely encounter someone who, of course, people have very opinionated opinions. Balkan people are very opinionated. They'll see my stomach and they're like, man, you're so fat, look at you. It's like, what?
Really?
USA, that would never happen.
Wow.
People are more fake. They're gonna say, oh, you look so good, you know, but here, oh my God, you're fat, look at that gut, you know, you need to go to the gym, you know, things like that. But I just, that sense of community here is phenomenal. I just feel like I'm at home. And when I'm gone from here, I miss this place. And so many Serbians say, you're nuts. We would kill to go to the USA or Germany or somewhere else. You know, why do you like it here? And then when you explain it to them, maybe they think they've never left this country, and they see America from afar, the movies. Everything's Beverly Hills, Hollywood, beautiful locations. They get there, a lot of these students who go to the USA, we send them to a small little town, and they'll call me, they're like, Charles, Novi Sad is way better than this town in America. This town in America has no sidewalks. We can't ride a bicycle here. It's like, well, I know, you know, so there's lots of positives here. So that's one thing, if I could say one thing I'm proudest of, it would be the fact that I've changed I've made people love this country more than they did. I hear that all the time. I'll post something, people will write in there, Charles, you've made me prouder of my country than I ever was before. I didn't realize that, because when you're a citizen of a country, you don't realize the good, the bad, the ugly. But when a foreigner comes with fresh eyes and they see these things, I'll look at a building, I was like, man, look at this architecture, it's gorgeous. And the Serbians walk by it all day long, and then they stop and look and they're like, man, that is pretty, you know? So that's what I'm very proud of.
Don't you feel sometimes uncomfortable regarding this famous Serbian directness?
People here in Serbia will come out straight to your face, how much money do you make? USA, you would never do that. Families, I would go to a family dinner. The dad would say, I make 300 euros a month. The mom said, I make 200. We spend 800 a month. We don't know where we get our additional income at. You know, things like that. Americans would never touch on those. I've gotten used to it, and I know how to confront it. When I argue politics with my Serbian friends, you know, I don't butter it up. I go straight to the heart of it, you know, if they have a problem. And I say, hey, toughen up, you know, give me a break. You can find a job here. You're just lazy. You want to sit in the coffee shop all day. So I've become more direct and not covering things with a coat of sugar, you know, like Americans like to do. So now very few things like that really trouble me. And it makes you a better person, I think. You get thicker skin when you live here in the Balkan. USA, people tiptoe around subjects. Here, it's right in your face, you know?
Yeah. No BS.
No BS. Nikad.
Have you ever experienced any kind of prejudices to you as an American in Serbia here?
When I was in Sremska Mitrovica, for instance, I used to live in Sremska Mitrovica, which is a small little town, city, whatever you want to call it, of maybe 12,000 people. I lived there for maybe 4 months, I believe. We were walking through a park. I was speaking English. There was a couple drunk kids on a bench, and this kid said, "From where are you?" And I said, "Ja sam Amerikanac." "Oh, Amerikanac, you bombed my country. You did this." He followed us. He was wanting to get into an altercation with me. And my friend said he separated him. My Serbian friend was big, thank God. The other kid was big too, but he got him away from me. A few minutes later, him and his little group, they came over and they apologized. The kid was crying, this kid who was threatening me. And he said, well, his uncle was killed in one of the wars. And he said, can I buy you a drink, a beer? I want to talk to you. And I said, sure. So we sit down, we discussed intervention, and we're still in touch to this day. Zrenjanin, 2-ish in the morning. I'd left a bar, I got disoriented, I didn't know where I was. I stopped a group of young kids, and one kid was drunk. He took a bottle and right over the back of my head. So I smashed that. I went up to some house, knocked on the door. I said, Bolnica. So they called the ambulance, took me there, stitched me up.
And after this incident, you didn't think to leave Serbia?
No.
Why?
Because I looked at that as being, or another situation, I was chased because I had a black and white striped shirt on, Partizan colors. Americans, we don't watch football, but here you go to the wrong part where it's Crvena Zvezda. I didn't know, I was chased, I had to jump over a fence and run away from these people. That was another situation, but no, I did not in the least, because I knew I was the one to blame for that. Same thing would have happened in Chicago. You walk up to a big group of people at 2 in the morning who are intoxicated, and you're a foreigner, and you say, hey, blah, 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 blah. And God knows what. Maybe they'll, who knows? So I looked at it as my fault. I mean, it's the same as every country in the world. You've got good, you've got bad, you've got to be sensible. So no, I hold no grudges for it. Of course, am I happy about it? No, but I have a scar to remember it by, you know? But I went to a house in Pirot, and my friend's grandma, she was speaking. Old people are really distrusting of me. And I understand why. They think I'm a spy. I hear that all the time. I was eating at the family. The grandma was blah, 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 blah. And my friend is sitting by me, and he's like, grandma, chuti, grandma. And I said, what did she say? He said, no, I don't want to tell you. I said, no, tell me. I don't care. I understand probably what she's saying. She told him, she said, I hate everything about America, the people, the government, but I like him. He's a nice guy. He can stay in our house. He can eat our food anytime he wants to. And to me, it was heartwarming. And I said, Hvala vam puno gospođo. That's very touching that I made that impression. And that's the way I look at my life here. If I can just touch some little old lady or some young kid who's heard nothing but negatives about America, and they meet me, they're like, man, I thought Americans hated us. I thought Americans were evil, mean people. But you're a nice guy, Charlie. You know, so you change the world one person at a time. I always believe in that.
America and Serbia, what similarities do you see with these two countries?
National pride. I say that and yet I disagree with that, so that sounds kind of silly. Serbians are they love their country, but they don't blast it in your face with flags on every home. USA, you walk down a little street in my community, every house has an American flag. On their car, they got a bumper sticker, American flag. They're wearing an American flag shirt. You know, they're very patriotic. Here, Serbians are patriotic, but what I've noticed here in Serbia, my Serbian friends who fly a Serbian flag in their yard, a lot of other Serbians will say, oh, he's a nationalist, he's a radical, you know. To me, that's silly, but still the pride. People are proud of their nations. That, the love of sport. America's a sports nation. Serbia is, we have 330 million people. Serbia has, what, 7.5, 8 million. And they're so dominant in sports. Every kid you meet, he's practicing judo, karate, water polo, handball. So the love of sport, things like that, I think are two big similarities. Maybe you could also also say that a lot of us are detested around the world. So many places I go in the world, oh, America. You did this, you did that, you were at war here, you did that. Serbians, same thing. Many people, when you say you're in Serbia, oh, Serbia, they did this in Croatia, they did this in Bosnia, So maybe that, even, the rest of the world has a distrust and a dislike for maybe both of our nations.
You said about the reason why you come to Serbia, but I would like to ask you the question why you left the US initially.
I worked in automobile sales management for Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, General Motors, Cadillac, Pontiac, Buick, all the American car companies. I worked 6 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day. I lived for Saturday night, and that's it. Everything was about money. I wanted money, 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 money. So my life, first place, money in the United States. Second place, your Saturday night, because that's all I had off. Family. Here, whoosh, family, friendships, first place. Then your work life. So the priorities here are right. The moralities here are so much better than we have in the USA. The USA, in my opinion, is degrading. The morality factor, religion is becoming a joke. Christianity is being mocked at nonstop. It's being censored, things like that. And here, it's still important in everyday life, you know. I like that. Even though the rest of the world is trying to force this nonsense onto Serbia, Serbia has still kept themselves in a protective bubble. And I love that about, you know, being here. The reason I left the USA is because I saw, in traveling here for 2 weeks, I came on a 2-week vacation. I was in Zrenjanin, I was in Melanci, Echka, some of these little villages, went down to Niš and Pirot, met so many people. I figured those people would hate me because my country bombed them in 1999. But not one person had a negative thing to say. They all had a huge meal for me. And I saw the cafes were full all times of the day. Morning, noon, evening, at night. They're always full. And I thought, man. And then people told me how much money they had. And I said, my God, you make 300 euros a month and you're in the coffee shop every day? Because they put an emphasis on friendships and connections. And I think that's so important. Why is that important? I was on medication from the time I was a child for ADHD. So many kids in the USA are being medicated because the pharmaceutical lobby has such a stranglehold on our politicians. They want everybody on drugs. Depression. Everybody I know is on a depression, high blood pressure, whatever, extremely obese. Here, they focus on sports, on social interactions, and that keeps you off some of these depression medication. When you can sit with a friend for 2 hours and say, hey, here's my problem. I'm doing this. I'm miserable. You have a way of bonding, not medication. So those are some of the things that really kept me here. I thought my priorities in life are wrong. Of course I want to make a lot of money. That's important to me. You know, I don't have a wife, I have no kids, I want to retire young, so I'm saving quite a lot of money. But I saw that is not the most important thing in life. It's social interaction.
How do you feel when you travel back to US?
You know, it's always nice to go back to the USA because of my family's there in rural Illinois. So I always, as soon as I get off the plane, it's like, I'm home. After 2 weeks, it's like, man, I miss the Balkan. You walk through Walmart, 2 out of every 4 people are this big. You see nobody walking the streets. You know, our communities there in Illinois, middle Illinois, even in Chicago a lot, there's no walking street where cars are forbidden. Nobody's walking. I was making videos from downtown Denver, downtown St. Louis. I was showing Serbians. I said, look at this. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, downtown St. Louis, Missouri. There's nobody walking. And the Serbians are like, what is it, a ghost town? Where are these people? I said, they're all in their car. Everybody drives. My ex-girlfriend, if we lived here and 2 blocks away was the store, she wouldn't walk there. She would drive there. Everything is convenience. You know, fast food, get there quickly, no walking. And here it's the opposite. In the wintertime, when it's freezing cold here in Serbia, the streets are lined with people walking around with their kids. They're outside, they're getting exercise, you know.
But sometimes you cannot find pedestrian sidewalk.
Yeah.
In my district of Belgrade, there's a huge problem with it. But I get used to it. It's okay. It's okay because the drivers have quite another culture of driving. If they don't honking, it's okay for them. So they get used. I think the driving culture in Serbia is much more better than in Russia, for example.
You think so?
In Moscow, it's quite, aggressive all the time. And the second shock was that I've seen an old lady behind the wheel. You don't see it in Russia, you know?
Really?
Because it's
like
very,
what age
it's
are you?
like
What age are you talking?
70, 80 years
70 or 80,
old, so
yeah.
it's very old.
Yeah.
Lady that is driving.
I thought that speaking of that, that's something I found really shocking when I was in Zrenjanin. My first trip to Serbia, I stayed in the city of Zrenjanin, and I saw old people, like an 80-year-old lady on a bicycle. You would never see that in the USA. I thought, oh my God, what happens if she falls? She's gonna break her hip.
Yeah, it's very, it's very traumatic.
So yeah, that's why their health, I think, is they live longer. You know.
What have you learned about yourself as an American while living in Serbia?
One thing I think is great for an expat living outside of their home country, you're not bombarded or brainwashed by your media. You get to see your country from a distance. So you get to see a differing view on what your country's doing in the world. For instance, interventionism. That's something America has always done. When I lived in the United States of America, I listened to the government. I was a very patriotic American. And when the government comes on TV and says we need to intervene in Syria and in Iraq and wherever, I thought it was for the better of the world. I thought, yeah, let's help these people, because that's the way they frame it. You know, they sell it to the public. We're going there to help these distressed people. But when you're here, you get to hear, oh my gosh, I used to be a big Democrat in the USA. I was a liberal. I'm from the state of Illinois, and I lived in Chicago for years, very liberal. But now that I've moved here, I'm the opposite. I've turned extremely conservative the longer I live here in Serbia. Serbia is a conservative country. You know, there's a lot of things here that's normal in the USA that here, oh, you wouldn't do it, you know. And I like that. So I've changed in that way. Health-wise, I've been off medications and I was on Adderall, 30 milligram Adderall. That's a lot. Adderall's a stimulant. And then I would take Xanax. The doctor gave me a stimulant and a depressant. He said, whenever you're really wiry, take the Xanax and it will calm you down. And when you think rationally, even at the time, I was a young kid. I thought, now how is that good for you? You're taking a stimulant to focus because I have ADHD. And then whenever you get if you're too wiry, take a depressant. So it's like, what is that doing to your heart and your internal organs? Then I come here to Serbia. I go to a doctor in Zrenjanin. My friend's mother was a big doctor. And she said, what is your problem? And I said, well, I've been prescribed Adderall for years and years and years. I didn't bring it because I was scared to go through customs with it. And she said, what is your disorder? And I said, well, ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And she said, oh, that's an American disorder. You know, we don't believe in that here. We believe in a good diet, exercise, And since that point, my friend, I've taken 0. And I messaged my doctor back in the USA and he said, how do you feel? He said, most people, if you're on that for years, you have major, what's the word I'm looking for?
Kind of hangover.
Yeah, like a hangover from that, you know. You really miss it, you still want that. But I had none, 0. So, and I'm still I use my hands a lot, I talk fast, but I think it's a benefit for me anyway, you know. It makes me interesting, you know.
Yeah, it makes you a great content creator.
Yeah. Thank you. It does. So many people, though, will say, what are you on? You've got to be on something. You can't be this way all the time. And it's like, this is me, my friend, but no medicine. So I'm healthier here, happier here, more relaxed in Serbia.
Regarding relax, I've got the impression from you that you have success-oriented mindset, which is typically associated with American lifestyle. You know,
I agree.
And here in Serbia, all people are relaxed. They are all about family, all about friends, all about Polako. Didn't you feel this kind of clash between your environment and your personality?
Yeah, it was something to get used to. You know, just for instance, a coffee. You know, in the USA, everything is to go. I loved, and that's the one thing I miss about America. When you said, what do I enjoy about going back home? I like to get a coffee this big, this like 2 pots of coffee in a cup, and walk around and drink it. Here, first thing I did when I was in Zrenjanin, I said, molim kafa, a velika kafa, just in here. I told her, I said, I want your biggest coffee. And she said, biggest coffee? We have this one. But in Zrenjanin, I said, I want a big coffee zaponiti. And she said, ne zaponiti. Sit. And I was like, what? I gotta sit down and drink a coffee? To me, that was so, it was nice.
What a waste of time.
And yeah, that's the way I looked at it, you know. What a waste of time. I don't want to sit for 30 minutes and drink it. I want to walk around, look at this, do this, and have my coffee, you know. So it was a little bit different. But I think it's better for my health. It's helped me learn to relax without medications.
Don't you feel sometimes kind of irritation?
It irritates me to no end. Those are some of the things, going to any government institution. When I opened this DOO here, I opened a company in, what was it, November? I closed it in February. It was a DOO, equivalent of an LLC in the USA. I had to go to a lawyer. Well, I wanted to make sure I did everything correctly, so I went to a lawyer. Then I had to go to the accountant. Then the accountant had to sign forms. I had to come back the next day, sign more forms. Then I had to go to the police station to give fingerprints. Then I had to go to another police station to do something else. Then I had to go back to the lawyer to sign something. It's so much red tape. And anytime you go to the bank, I had to open 3 bank accounts, euro, dollar, and dinar. You go to the bank, there's 15 other people in the bank, you wait there, and then they say, okay, well, you need to bring this stamp. And I was like, oh my God, can we just do it without that today? No. So everything is time consuming. You go to the posta, you want to send something, the line is out the door. It's like, what are all these people going to the post office for? And they're just standing there in line.
What do you think America can learn from Serbia?
One of the biggest issues is the quality of food that we're feeding our children in schools. There's no restrictions on that. The big food corporations have a stranglehold on our politicians, so we're eating nothing but garbage. And America could learn. Something I thought about doing at one point was opening like a little American shop here. Because a lot of Serbians are like, man, I want to try Dr. Pepper, I want to try Cherry 7-Up, which they don't have here. And then I found out so many of those products we are eating on a daily basis in the USA are forbidden here. Why? Because of the ingredients. So I think they care more for quality foods in the USA. The more organic something is, the higher the price. The cheap crap cereal that's filled with sugar and all these God knows what, it's cheap. The good organic stuff, the price is ungodly high. Eggs, things such as that, it's insane. So they need to focus more on that. And freedom. You know, America, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about America is freedom. Everybody around the world, we say we're the land of the free. We have so many laws in place that they don't have here in Serbia. I mean, some of them maybe could be looked at as a good thing. Like a lot of places in the USA, you can't smoke on the sidewalks. You can't smoke in any restaurant or bar, which I think is a good thing. But still, that's freedom. At the bus station, you can crack open a beer. If I wanted a beer now, I could walk through the streets of the center. I could sit there with a bottle of whiskey. The police are not going to do anything. In the USA, you're going to jail. On the beach in the USA, you can't drink alcohol. If they see it, they're going to arrest you, give you a ticket. You know, here, you have that freedom.
But here, I rarely see people who are drinking on the street.
No, you rarely do.
Because it's not in culture.
You're right, yeah. They're more classy. They have this elegance, this classiness behind Serbians. Because I said that a few times. I was drinking a beer, and my friend's like, what are you doing? That looks like you're a homeless man. You know, but I just like the fact that, hey, I can walk around and drink a beer. That's nice.
I don't see here drunk people a lot.
Very rarely.
Very rarely.
Even me, when I go out with my friends, I drink more than they do. There's another misconception. America, you have to be 21 years of age to purchase alcohol. Here, a little kid can go buy beer, but you don't see a lot of kids drinking and drunk and drinking on the street.
Because they know that cashier knows his mom.
Probably, yeah, I bet you're right.
Yeah, I thought about it.
One time in Zrenjanin, it was during Dani Piva, and it was like 2 in the morning, I don't know, we were walking somewhere and I was speaking English. This little boy on a bicycle, 2 in the morning, I don't know why I was outside. He's like, hey, American, I speak English. I said, hey, nice. I said, listen, do you know where you can buy beer? We're looking for some beer, but everything's closed. He said, yes, the gas station. He said, I'll get it for you. And I said, brother, you're like 7, 8 years old. He said, no, I get it. I gave him some money. I thought he was just going to run off and go home, and he made petsto dinara. But anyway, a few minutes later, we're walking a little bit down. He says, American, here's your beer. I was like, wow. How did you buy beer? You're a child in a gas station. They don't care, you know.
Yeah.
So to me, that's kind of odd. But still, you don't see that. In America, people start drinking at 16 because it's outlawed. It's against the law. You want to be a rebel as a young guy. The other thing I think America could really learn from here is to have closer connections with their friends and to put money and everything down on a smaller level. Of course, America's an expensive country, and money's extremely important. I love money, but you need those social interactions and more closer families. That's why you don't see the homeless epidemic that America's dealing with. That's shocked me the most. I said to some of my friends when I first got here, I was in Belgrade, and I said, where's the bad part of town that you don't ever go to? And they're like, what do you mean? And I said, where's the criminals? There's not. Every big city in the USA, there's a part of town you do not go to. Homeless, drugs, gangs, crime, things like that. You know, and here I think people take care of their uncle. If their uncle's on the street, they're gonna take care of him. USA, you're on your own. You're laying in the street along with 15,000 others building a tent. You know, here people more care about family, and I think that is so critically important. That would solve many problems in the United States.
Is it possible for United States to go back, not go back, go further and to value family more? What do you think?
I hate to talk negatively about America because America is my primary country. I was born and raised there, and I think there's really good people there. But I think just the political divisiveness, we're more diverse. The other thing I like about Serbia is the vast majority of Serbians are Orthodox Christian. We're a country of Jews. My family, there's 20 of us. We're Methodist, Baptist, Lutheran, Apostolic, Jehovah's Witness, and Catholic. So when we get together, there's arguments over religion. So when you turn 16, 17, your parents are like, see you later, get out of here. In the Balkan, people are living at home till they're 30, in the parents' house. You can look at that as a good thing or a bad thing, but still family structure so closer. My cousins, I've got maybe 4 or 5 first cousins. I haven't spoken to them in probably 8 years, no communication, zero. And Serbians, I use the word cousin, rođak. And Serbians are like, we don't use that word. We say brother and sister. And I said, but that's not your brother and sister. That's your aunt's son. That's your first cousin. But it's my brother. So they have this opposite thinking. Big family. They're brothers. They're not a cousin. They are close. In America, I don't see that happening in America. We've got an influx of Mexicans and illegals and people coming across the border. And so I think it's going to get nothing but worse and worse and worse and worse. In America also, even in big cities today, you've got communities they're not diverse. The Caucasian will live here. The Arab communities here, the black communities here, the homosexual communities here. There's not a lot of integration there. So you have that distrust between different races and things such as that. So I see it slowly degrading, and I hate to say that. And that creates problems with neighbors. You put out a Donald Trump sign, your neighbor comes over, get that out of the yard. It's just upheaval, and it's really scary, you know. Here, you don't have a lot of that. You've got, of course, extremely opinionated people with the political situation here in Serbia, but you don't have that major separation, and I don't think, you know.
Regarding the religion, you recently converted to Orthodoxy.
Uskoro. I'm going to.
But you have
I do.
crest.
I proudly wear my Orthodox cross. My best friend in the whole world, he's a Serbian, his name's Darko. He lives in Los Angeles. He's illegal. He's been there 8 years illegally. Darko, sorry, he'll be watching this. But anyway, he's extremely religious Orthodox Christian. And he's taught me, and I've listened to a lot of these Orthodox in English language, of course, because I can understand it. And I believe that is the true religion. It started so old, and they've kept those traditions. While in the USA, we're mostly a Protestant country. And there's so many different break-offs of that, which have a silly difference. Like my family's Methodist and Baptist. There's very few differences between them. But one of them, a woman cannot be a priest or a pastor. The other one, they can. You've got these silly little differences. And they're newer religions. That's my goal, because Serbia is to be called a Serb. That's why a lot of people said, I will never be accepted as a Serbian because I'm not Orthodox Christian. And so a lot of Serbians, to me, that's kind of a crazy thing to say, but I want to be fully part of this country. And I believe in God. I used to, in the past, not so much, because my family's so different. Dad'd tell you Jehovah's Witness is the only way. My aunt'd say Catholicism's the only way. My other one would say Methodist is the only true. It's like, oh my God, you're hearing this. And then you research it, and so I think Orthodoxy is the way to go. I love their traditions. I love the Slava. I would love to have a Slava. I would love to have a kum. So when my best friend gets married, I want to be his best man, but I have to be Orthodox Christian, you know, so things like that.
How do you see Serbia in 10 years from now?
Well, it's going to totally depend on a couple factors. I think if Serbia joins the European Union, I see it from two sides. But I fear that if Serbia joins the European Union, you've already got the brain drain here. All these young people I deal with on a daily basis with work and travel, they're all studying to be doctors, lawyers, in sciences, whatever. So many of them, I get to know them. I get to know their mother, their father, because they go on this program. They trust me. And I say, what are you going to do when you get this degree? Where do you see yourself? And they say, Canada, Germany, Australia, USA. And if Serbia joins the European Union, I think we're going to be similar to Bulgaria. You see a big all the smart, intelligent folks are going to leave for more money. To me, that is a problem. I've seen so much, the infrastructure's changed substantially. It's gotten a lot better. The Soko train, used to you'd have to take a bus that took an hour and 20 minutes. Now you can get there in 32 minutes,
Soko
I think.
Is
always
the
on
best.
time. It's
Yeah.
affordable. I think next month the one opens to Subotica. I see that happening. One other negative you could look at as a negative, if you're a born Serbian, is Belgrade waterfront. Jared Kushner, Donald Trump's son-in-law, he just was given that NATO building that NATO bombed. They gave that to him. He's going to build these huge penthouse suites there. Belgrade waterfront, it's pretty, it's beautiful, but the average Serbian cannot afford to pay $5,000 a square meter, you know. So you've got a lot of gastarbeiteri folks coming in and purchasing these properties. So you've got that modernization along with the old tradition. So there's a little bit too much mix. And I'm fearful, every day I open the papers and they're building a whole brand new subdivision, you know. So that kind of is a worry for me, you know, to keep it affordable for the Serbian that's here.
So the future of Serbia seems like a bit unpredictable.
I think it's extremely unpredictable.
But
There's
nevertheless,
so many
you stay
factors.
here.
I believe in the people. When you have a country who loves their country, I think anything is possible, you know, here. When you still have morality, you've got a basis of God. I think all of that matters. But there's always those economical issues that can really complicate things. And as I said, so many of these smart young students I deal with, 90% say, I don't want to be in Serbia when I graduate. Because as a doctor, I make 1,500 euros. I go to Germany, I'm going to make 5,000 a month. You know, so you have that, you know. And that's scary. I don't know the solution, but I think the government needs to do more to incentivize young Serbian, smart, educated folks to stay here, to open businesses, you know, rather than allow all these foreign companies come in and invest in this country.
What are your main rules of life?
My number one goal is to visit every country in the world. That's my mission, if you will. But also to wake up each day and be grateful, and to be able to drink a coffee and enjoy my day with less stress as humanly possible. I'm getting older, I'm 47. People remind me that all the time, but I want to get married, I want to have a child, but I need to do it quickly. Things that's kept me from that for so many years. I spend 6 months here, 6 months in the USA. Now for my job, I travel around the world to yacht shows, jet shows, merger and acquisition functions. I'm constantly gone. I'm rarely in my apartment for more than a week straight without traveling. So I can't even have a goldfish. If I had a goldfish, it would die. If I had a dog, it would be dead. You know, if I had a child, I've got to grow up. I've got to be there for the child and provide it some stability. But I would like my child to grow up here in this culture because I think the morality, once again, I want them to go to a moral school, a safe place where they're not going to get beat up, robbed, things like that.
I think the part about traveling is American part in you, and the part about coffee is Serbian part in you.
True, yeah, I think so too.